What's going on, everybody? We are headed into week 10 of the NFL season. We're kind of getting a little bit past that midway point. We're starting to get a real feel for the playoff picture. College football is starting to get into the last month of the year for some teams. This is when all the action kicks off, and we start getting into these Tuesday, Wednesday night games for stuff that we normally don't get during the week. So it's kind of fun to see football pretty much every single day until the new year rolls around through our holiday season, which is upcoming. And Thanksgiving will be here in a couple of weeks before you know it, so we can stuff our bellies full of winnings. That's right, we're going to stuff our bellies full of money because we're going to be winning because it's all we've been doing. And speaking of winning, let me bring on my co-host with the most from the great state of Mississippi. It is Bobby from Bobby's Big Board. What's going on, Bobby?
What's going on, guys? Yet another week of exciting football action. We're getting closer and closer to those conference championships, and I believe we got our first college football playoff ranking right
That's
this week.
correct.
So
Ohio State was ranked number one. Indiana, who's played nobody. They've played a high school in Cleveland. They played I think they played a team in Northern Alaska, and then they've also played their junior college fraternity, but their big wins at Oregon. So I'm not here to beat up on Indiana. But before we get started on our college picks, did you want to tell everybody about what we got going on for the game that's about to start shortly? You want to give us a real quick rundown of who you like sitting and starting?
Yeah,
I'll go
absolutely.
first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like the Denver Broncos to cover the 9 points. I think that the Raiders, Geno Smith had his best game last week. He had a really good football game. He threw 4 touchdown passes, and it just wasn't enough. I think that was kind of like the peak. I don't know if the Raiders can get back up on a short week. And I think that the Broncos go in there and handle business. I think we're going to see an R.J. Harvey game, maybe, or J.K. Dobbins game. We're going to see something. Maybe this is the week Marvin Mims gets that big play that I was talking about, that big explosive down the field touchdown. What says you?
Yeah, I mean, Marvin Mims, he's been a little bit beat up this year, missed a few games, but he's definitely an explosive guy. I mean, he's super explosive. Geno Smith is going to Derek Carr his way into playing 5-6 years with the Raiders somehow. Hopefully they move on from him after this year. I just don't think he's going to be a long-term asset for them. But that is one of my sits. I do not think Geno Smith should ever be in your starting lineup. I would start guys like Tyler Shuck over him even.
Man.
Yeah, that low. I mean, I would even start Bryce Young. Like, he had a 3-point game last week, so I'd start him. With the trade of Jacoby Myers, we'll talk a little bit of the offseason throughout these games. Not the offseason, the midseason trade deadline. We'll talk about some of those trades once we get to those teams. But, yeah, I mean, I think with Jacoby Myers being traded, it definitely opens it up. But we just don't know who that guy is going to be. So I'm sitting guys like Jack Besh, who I loved coming out of TCU. Trey Tucker is a boomer bust guy. I'm staying away from him. Brock Bowers is probably the only guy, and Ashton Genty are the only guys in that Raiders offense that I'll be comfortable starting. And then for the Broncos, I mean, R.J. Harvey might be a sneaky flex play right now. He could get you 10 points just with the receiving upside alone. J.K. Dobbins is kind of slowed down a lot. I mean, he's getting volume, but he's not getting the touchdowns. I think J.K.'s still a decent play if he's your RB2. Bo Nix, I think, is going to have a big day. Cortland Sutton's a really safe play as well. He seems to just get 10 points every single week at the minimum. So I like all those guys. But with all that being said, I think – since that game starts normally we don't cover those games because we do this on Friday normally, but since we're doing it a little bit earlier on a Thursday, might as well give you guys some last minute start sit things if you guys are on the fence about a couple of players. But
can't go wrong with Brock Bowers. I mean, what a monster game he had last week, man.
Him.
And I'll tell you what, like with Jacoby Myers being dealt, and who are they gonna throw the football to? I think that if Dante Thornton's on your waiver wire, might be worth a little bit of a stash there. I'm big on
absolutely.
That guy. I'm not a big Tennessee Volunteers fan, never will be. I'm an Alabama fan true and true, but I think he could be, because he's explosive, he's tall, he's shown flashes earlier in the season, but when your quarterback just isn't getting it done, it's difficult to get those fantasy points. So nonetheless. Yeah. But let's keep on going.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get in. So every single week, guys, we go ahead and pick 6 college games, usually the marquee matchups of the weekend. So if you guys aren't, super familiar with what we do here, we'll go over the spreads, kind of give our takes on who we like on the spread. And we give our, unbiased picks here, and we're pretty transparent about our record. So I'm straight up 500, which isn't terrible. I've had a couple of really bad weeks. And Justin, he's a little bit ahead of me, 30 wins, 28 losses. So he's farming north of 50% now, which is really good whenever you're going against the spread. But first matchup, big time American Conference matchup here. Tulane's going on the road to play Memphis, who's been a very surprising team this year, really been having a lot of solid wins. They beat Arkansas. They've taken a bunch of guys, to the wire. Memphis at home, 5.5-point favorites. That stadium, that the fan base is getting really excited about this team. I like the Tulane Green Wave here, plus 5.5. I think this is an upset spot for Memphis. I think it crushes. I don't think they're in the college football playoff conversation at all, even if they went out. I think this is just going to crush the Memphis Tigers here, and I think Tulane wins it.
Well, Tulane got embarrassed last week. It was absolutely embarrassment. UTSA, I believe it was. He put the belt to the rear end on them.
But
nonetheless, I think what we're going to do here is I think I'm going to take Memphis to lay the points here at home. They've got a shot at the college football playoff still. I do like what Tulane is doing down there, but their head coach has been listed as a candidate for the LSU job. There might be a little bit of a distraction going on there, but he's been doing a great job down there in New Orleans. You got to give it to him when you're winning in that state with that recruiting in the South that you've got to deal with Alabama and Texas bordering your states and Oklahoma right there just surrounding all that Southern recruitment.
Yeah.
We're going to see what happens there. But I think that Memphis at home, their only loss, God bless it, they lost in Birmingham to UAB right after they fired Trent Dilfer. They went out there with their backup quarterback, Ryder. They went out and won the football game, Memphis, and they were beating their butt. Memphis almost came back to win it.
Yeah.
But they did not, fortunately. So, but, give me Memphis. I'll take Memphis. I'll lay the points. That spread's dropped down to 3.5. But it's still within the touchdown realm that I'm buying. I'm laying the points there.
All right. Well, next up, we have a matchup that you're going to be paying close attention to as a Crimson Tide fan. We have LSU going to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, playing number 4 Alabama. Alabama at home are 9.5-point favorites. For me, a lot of these SEC games, whether it's the bottom of the barrel teams like Kentucky or, just any of the SEC matchups, they always seem to be really close nail biters. I mean, Auburn's took Texas A&M to the wire. There's just all of these teams are just matching up really evenly, especially defensively. So I do think Alabama wins this game, but I do think it's going to be closer than 9.5 points. So I'm going to go with LSU plus 9.5. All of these SEC games have just been super close. So I'm going to stay with that trend and have LSU plus 9.5 here.
Well, Alabama hasn't really been on the trajectory to be crushing a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I think when we saw, with Brian Kelly getting terminated prior to, in that last game, we saw Garrett Nussmeier just absolutely miserable with the play calling. I think there's a huge weight lifted off of LSU's shoulders with Brian Kelly being out of there. And with that being said, I think that they're going to rally and get together, and they're going to know that they got to go to Alabama, and Alabama's playing for everything, and LSU is not. They're just not playing for anything except for themselves. I don't think that they're going to get it together enough to go to Alabama and win the football game.
Absolutely not.
But I think, and this spread is really close. Like, it's really close to what I think it could be. I think that this is a touchdown game, though. I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take the Tigers to cover, but I don't think that they can get it done. I think that this is a special Alabama football team. And not saying that as a fan, just with quarterback play, the defense has been playing much better. I mean, when you're containing guys like Diego Pavia and you go to Georgia and win and you do those types of things, that the way the teams rallied after that week 1 loss in Florida State has been something of a chip on their shoulder. Both teams coming off the bye. I like Kalen DeBoer coming off the bye, but I'll take LSU to cover. Maybe a late cover, maybe a backdoor here. It's a game I wouldn't bet, but we're doing it for the sake of the show, so I would take LSU in the points here.
Yeah, and, we got to talk about Ty Simpson. A lot of these mock drafts, they have him going first overall to the Jets. Pretty much every single mock draft I'm seeing Ty Simpson first overall to the Jets, which is going to be horrible for Ty Simpson. Is he good enough to overcome the Jets as an organization? I'm not sure, but man, in the offseason, Well, who are we hearing about? We were hearing about Austin Simmons. We were hearing about Lenoris Sellers. We were hearing about Pavia. We were hearing about these other SEC quarterbacks. We weren't hearing anything about Ty Simpson. I heard
That's
some of the
because nobody
quarterback camps.
believed. They
Well,
thought it
I
was all
saw.
Moro.
Look, I saw the quarterback camps that were going on in the offseason. I want to say the Mannings had one, and Ty Simpson went out and won that. And there was
By
a
the
lot
way,
of really high. There were a lot of high end recruits, a lot of high end quarterbacks at that QB camp, and I was like, okay, I need to watch Ty Simpson a little bit. Watch a little bit of his high school tape, and Ty Simpson, man, he's exciting. He's an exciting player. He's just athletic enough to really, burn you with his legs, and he's a pocket quarterback, man. He can play in the quarterback really well. I'm super impressed with his film. I got to dive more into it to actually grade him before we get into the offseason, but man, he's really been impressing, and I'm excited to see what they do the rest of the season. Obviously, I won an SEC national championship this year, and I think Alabama's the best candidate for that right now. I don't think Texas A&M, they upset themselves every time. But moving on to the next matchup here,
I will say, before you start that Ty Simpson was a 5-star recruit.
Yes.
And it shouldn't shock anybody that a 5-star recruit can perform. It's like the Amon-Ra St. Brown was a 5-star recruit at USC. It was no surprise that he went to the NFL dominated. Just saying.
Yeah. And the star grading can be a little hit or miss at times, but if you have talent, the scouts do this for a living. If you have a 5-star rating, there's a reason for that. A lot of the 5 stars kind of teeter off because either they don't ever get any playing time or they just, get hurt, whatever the case may be, or have off the field issues. So that's normally what happens to the 5 stars if they don't pan out. But next up, number 8 BYU. This is the matchup that I'm kind of excited for because, this is whoever wins this is pretty much guaranteed a spot at the college football playoff, and whoever loses this is guaranteed not to make it in the college football playoff. This is a very big time game for both of these conferences, both of these programs. Number 8 BYU going to the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Number 9 Texas Tech minus 9.5 point favorites. Man, I loved the Texas Tech Red Raiders this year, and then they really crapped the bed a couple weeks ago. I just don't know where they're at as a team. I feel like they're super talented, but 9.5 point favorites versus BYU. I know they're at home, and that stadium's been rocking. I'm going to go with the BYU here, plus 9.5. I don't know if they win the game, but I do think it's close. So we'll definitely see. I don't know if they're starting quarterbacks back though. Texas Tech, is he still hurt?
Well, they're saying that LJ Martin and Jack Kelly are back, and I think that the Cougars getting the points here is the play.
Yeah.
But I don't think that necessarily if one of these teams loses, they're eliminated from the playoff because this could be an absolute rematch of the Big 12 championship again.
Yeah.
You just don't know how these things are going to play out. The Big 12 is for me, it's the most fun conference.
Because it's not top heavy.
No, I don't want to say that. There's just something about it that I do enjoy watching. Like, I don't enjoy watching Big Ten football, and it's not beat up on the Big Ten. It just doesn't – it's never been my thing. But in the Big 12, there's so much wild offense and unpredictability, and then you got one year it's ASU, and then this year it's Texas Tech and this BYU, and like you said, it could just be completely scattered. So, but I'm taking the Cougars to get the points on the road. I think the Texas Tech is going to have some serious donors in there for this game. They're loading up on their NIL.
Yes,
Texas Tech has I think the winner of this game will potentially be in the top 5, but they will be in the driver's seat to get themselves for the Big 12 championship game coming up the first week of December. So very critical, probably the game of the week right there.
Yeah, and another critical game again. I think Missouri's pretty much. They could sneak in, but Texas A&M. They've done it year after year. They get the fans' hopes up, and then they just let them die around this time. Pretty much every single year, they lose all of the big time matchups. But this year, man, they've really been going. They've really been cooking and winning the matchups that they need to win. So they're number 3 in the country right now. They're going on the road to play Missouri, who State has not this week, but next week. So back-to-back home games for Missouri. Number 19, Missouri, they are the 6.5 point underdogs. Texas A&M 6.5 point favorites. Texas A&M, man, their defense is decent. Their offense really is cooking this year. So I think Texas A&M clears this team. Missouri's really going to have to fight and claw their way to be close in this matchup. But I think Texas A&M just has way more talent. KC Concepcion could absolutely be a first-round pick in the 2026 NFL draft. I love the talent that they have. So I'm going to go with Texas A&M and the Aggies here, plus -6.5.
Concepcion was the one player that was in the transfer portal I really wanted Alabama to get, and they tried to get him, and he chose A&M. I mean, and it worked out for him. I mean, they are the leader in the SEC. They're in the driver's seat, and it's going to be a road game in Missouri. Now, the road game in Missouri, when Alabama played there a few weeks ago, it came down to the end. It's a very tough fought matchup, but they don't have Bo Pribula there anymore because he got that season-ending injury.
Yeah.
So getting a freshman quarterback and Matt Zoller's in there, and then you're really putting a lot of pressure on Missouri to run the football with Ahmad Hardy, but I don't think that they're good enough to just simply play ball control.
Yeah.
And Texas A&M has too many weapons. I mean, Marcel Reed is just an unbelievable football. He's everything you wanted Jalen Milroe to be in a sense.
Yeah.
And he makes them a very dangerous football team. Texas A&M, in my opinion, is a college football playoff team. I mean, obviously the record shows it. I think that they're going to end up playing Alabama for the SEC championship.
Makes sense.
And that game's going to be, I mean, there's one thing about that. That's going to be one exciting championship weekend. If we get BYU, Texas Tech, and then Alabama and A&M on championship weekend, because the Big Ten championship weekend is probably going to be Ohio State and Indiana, and nobody cares.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody cares.
I think we know how that matchup's going to go, unless Indiana just keeps pulling the upsets, man. At this point, you really can't call them upsets, but, people don't expect Indiana with the cupcake schedule to go into Ohio State. I mean, they're probably going to be hosting, right?
But it'll be in Indianapolis.
Oh, yes.
Those conference championship games are neutral sites.
Yeah. So Ohio State, I mean, I don't think anybody expects Indiana to go in there and beat Ohio State with how they've been playing this year, right? So, yeah. I mean, how do you feel about the matchup though? Missouri, Texas A&M. Which way would you lean?
I'm going to take A&M to blow them out.
Yeah.
I think they're going to blow them out. I don't think that they got a chance.
It's
I mean, A&M's really. I think they shed the 8-4 letdown bullshit here and get it together and get on the road and get a nice win. Nice statement win, even though I don't use that term. I think they cover. I'll lay the points here.
Yeah,
I think
me too.
Beats them by 10.
I think out of all, actually, there's one other one I feel a little bit more strongly about than this, but this is definitely one that I feel pretty comfortable with. But the next matchup, and speaking of Indiana, number 2 Indiana going to Penn State, and they're 15.5-point favorites. Now, I told people last week whenever they were playing Ohio State, I was like, Penn State's going to cover here. I don't remember if they covered. It was really close, but Penn State was keeping it at least somewhat close in the first half, and then Ohio State kind of pulled away in the second half. Fernando Mendoza is a great football player. I'm going to take Penn State plus 15.5 here because they are at home and they do still have a very talented football team, regardless of the coaching situation, regardless of how they've done this year. They still have 2 really talented running backs. They've got a couple of talented receivers. Their defense is still decent. So I'm going to I think Indiana wins this game. But I do think Penn State will cover. I think it might be a field goal game, surprisingly. I think this could be a scare for Indiana before they go into deeper into the season.
I think we're going to see Indiana go in there and whip them. I think they're going to whip them. I think Fernando Mendoza is a very good quarterback, and Indiana can run the football very well. Yep. And Penn State, when these coaches get terminated, it absolutely either binds a team or cripples a team. And I think last week was their chance to bind the team. And I think that they're going to lay their heads. And I think they're going to lay down. I'm going to call it out, Penn State. I think that they're just going to let Indiana steamroll them. Indiana's going to try and build credibility on a win at Penn State. I don't even know if they've ever won a game there in Happy Valley. But I will say that reality is going to come for Indiana in the playoff. And God, I hope if Alabama doesn't win, I hope somehow the stars align and they take that trip from Bloomington down. Well, if Indiana doesn't win the Big Ten, then take that trip to Bloomington, either down to Athens or down to Tuscaloosa. Somewhere. I want Indiana to be challenged, and they haven't been. Like I keep picking on them, but you got major college football figureheads like Joel Klatt and so good. Well, people online, they're undefeated. Well, yes, you play Purdue. Like, come on, man. Like, you're not impressing me. Well, they beat Oregon in Oregon. Yes, they did.
That was a good win.
Big deal. But look at Oregon's schedule. The Big Ten is very, very, very soft out of conference. Props to Ohio State for playing Texas at home. We saw what happened with Ohio State when they were tested. It came down to the end of that game. If
Yep.
Arch Manning had just played halfway decent, they would have lost the game. But nonetheless, let's move on to your team, Bobby.
Yeah, so I kept them off last week. I did not want to put Mississippi State on here because I was fed up. I was like, I'm gonna ride for my team as always, but after week after week after week of just having the win secured, and then throwing it away in the fourth quarter, we've done that 3 weeks in a row. We go to Arkansas. Arkansas's up 3 possessions in the fourth quarter, and just like we were against Texas, and we threw it all away, and Arkansas decided to throw it away as well. 3 straight scoring drives. We ended up winning the football game. I was scared up until the very last play. We sacked their quarterback, Taylon Green, and they threw a flag because they needed a field goal to tie it, and I thought for sure they were going to get us for roughing the passer, but it was intentional grounding, and we won the football game. So that was our first SEC win. That's huge, and I think that's really sparking a fire in this team. We were already competitive. We've been competitive in every single game, including the Texas A&M game in the first half. I think Georgia is looking past this a little bit because guess what? They have Texas next week, and that's a big-time matchup for them. Big-time matchup. And number 5, Georgia, they've been very kind of pity-patter this year. They've been getting the wins when they can, but they've lost some of the marquee matchups. So I think Mississippi State wins this football game. I am on the train again. I think the safest play on this entire board, and that's not because I'm a State fan. I think State plus 7.5 here is the safest of the 6 matchups here. And yeah, I mean, Georgia is a great football team, very decent defense. They just can't really rush the passer as they have in years past. And I think State's going to make some explosive plays happen. Starkville is booming right now. Stark Vegas is booming. So I'll be at the Egg Bowl. I won't be at this game, unfortunately, but I will be at the Egg Bowl game. And yeah, I'm so excited. This is more exciting to me than probably any of the matchups in the NFL because my Chiefs are on the bye. So,
well, I think the line is set right. Georgia has a winning culture. Their only losses to Alabama. They should have lost the Tennessee game. They find ways to rally. They should have probably lost that Auburn game due to the officiating, but they go on the road. They pull it out. They just do it. I think every first half that Georgia's been in, they've been trailing at halftime in almost every game.
Yeah.
But that's not when you win the football game. I don't know if teams don't know how – there are teams that don't know how to maintain a lead and stay ahead and say, we're good enough to finish this. And that's the old Coach Saban mentality of can you finish? What can you do? Can you get this done? And quite frankly, I think that the hook is the difference here. I'm going to take the points with Mississippi State. I think State's going to – they're trying to get to a bowl game. Disastrous season last year. They're rallying this year. They got Fluff Bothwell. I think that they could do something at home. It's tough to win on the road in the SEC. There are no gimmies.
Yeah, they're all close games.
Georgia struggles at Kentucky. Like, it's just like – and they're the worst one. They struggled at Auburn. Yeah. Now, I don't think that they're going to be looking past Mississippi State because I think State is better than Auburn and Kentucky. Yeah. But there is a lack of explosiveness on the defensive front, like you said. I think that Mississippi State should have beat Texas. Yeah. Should have beat them, and I think
we should have beat Tennessee. We should have beat Florida. I mean, we should have beat a lot of these teams. We were in field goal range and we throw a pick for no reason. It's like we should legitimately only have one loss if we would just figure out our play calling in the fourth quarter, but that's just not how it works, right? You lose the game, you lose the game.
How it works. Well, let's move on to our NFL stuff. We want to thank we got 14 viewers right now, so we just want to say thank you so much for joining us. We are
Absolutely.
appreciating you on this Thursday night. As we know, NFL is on right now.
Yeah.
And, we're competing with the NFL. We got 13 viewers. Just kidding.
Yeah. So the question that we said earlier, we were like, who's going to step into that role now that Jacoby Myers is gone? Well, the answer thus far is Tyler Lockett. I mean, of all people, look, I have a lot of respect for Tyler Lockett and the way he plays football, which is very conservative, safe, very good hands. But I would have expected, somebody else. He's got 4 targets on the first drive, I think. So impressive stuff from the veteran. He just got released from the Titans, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. But
Yeah, but he's
nonetheless,
back with Pete Carroll. So,
yep. Hey, got to use that guy.
familiarity. Yep.
So first game that we're going to be talking about here is the Atlanta Falcons. They're going on the road to play the Indianapolis Colts. The Falcons, despite their record, they might be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Just some of their losses are just like, ugh. The Dolphins blow out, the Panthers blow out. They shut the Falcons out a few weeks ago, 30-0. I mean, the Falcons just cannot get it together, whether it's Penix or Cousins. Cousins looked atrocious when Penix was out. And the Colts are the exact opposite. I told people last week the Colts were going to be kind of sitting on their high horse and not really preparing well enough because they were 7-1 and they lost to the Steelers. I think that woke them up a little bit. I think that puts a little bit of fire underneath them. Like, hey guys, we got to prepare. And regardless of whether it's the Steelers or the Falcons, I think the Colts win this game by 10 points. I'm going to go Indianapolis minus 5.5. Daniel Jones did turn the football over 5 times last week, which is kind of alarming. He looked terrified at times. I don't think that continues because the Falcons aren't really putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback this year. I mean, as they always have. They're terrible at sacking.
Well, this is another international flavor game here. I like the Colts to rebound. After you have a lousy game like that, people start to doubt you and start to say you're not good. And people have a 1-week mentality about betting. And when it comes to all kinds of dynamics and trying to pick football games, and most people, it's called fade the public for a reason. But I'm taking the Colts here. I'm laying the points here. I just cannot trust a team. Kirk Cousins, $90 million guaranteed kicked him because he wasn't traded. The man is a finesse, and it's even people want to make jokes about Kirk because he's just the most nicest cookie cutter. He's the guy you want for your neighbor. Totally nice dude. Plays well when he was in his prime. He was a really good football player. I know they always make the jokes about him on primetime and stuff like that. Yeah. But he still had success up there in Minnesota, and he had success
with the Commanders. Yeah.
But he's got success in his wallet. But it's not translating to the Falcons this week. It's just not. I think that Jonathan Taylor has himself a football game. I mean, the Falcons are way too inconsistent. I'm going to take a team that's trying to vie for the 1 seed in the AFC here.
Yeah.
And the Falcons are going to be, like the Panthers have grossly improved. They showed it last week going up to Lambeau and just absolutely keeping the football out of Jordan Love's hands. I mean, the Packers only had 2 second-half possessions, but that's neither here nor there. We're just saying I'm taking the Colts to cover, and I'm taking them to win. Easy.
Yeah, I think that's easy as well. The Falcons, I'm just saying as a fantasy guy, just don't trust the Falcons at all. Don't trust Penix. I mean, Bijan has sucked it up the past 2 weeks because of the not the play calling, but the game script. And Drake London, had a big time week, but they're just so inconsistent. Drake London was barely even startable the first half of the season. So, but regardless, the starts, Daniel Jones, guys, I know he had 5 turnovers last week, but that's been an outlier for the rest of the season. I don't think he just has this terrible demise like he's had in years past. I think Daniel Jones, he knows he needs to play well to get paid, and he's going to play good against the Falcons. So starting him, absolutely. He probably gets you 25 points. Jonathan Taylor, he didn't have the best week last week, but literally he's the RB1 in fantasy right now. You have to, he's got 16 total touchdowns and 800 yards at midseason. Start him. Michael Pittman Jr., wow. He's had a good year. I was fully on the Michael Pittman is mid train. Apparently that was just Anthony Richardson and whoever else they had at quarterback last year, right? Michael Pittman, great year. Daniel Jones and Pittman have a great chemistry together. Bijan Robinson, you can't not start him. He has the upside to give you 35, 40 points any given week. So you have to start him, even though he's been underwhelming the past couple weeks. And Drake London. For whatever reason, Michael Penix loves him, Drake London. He just loves to target Drake London, especially in the red zone. We like touchdowns with our wide receivers, and Drake London just gets a lot of targets and a lot of touchdowns, so starting him as well. And then for the sits, any other wide receiver that's not named Drake London, stay away from. Darnell Mooney. I think Ray McLeod's gone, but anybody else that they have there. Tyler Algier is not going to get enough touches to be relevant unless Bijan gets hurt. Kyle Pitts, super up and down tight end. Do not start him. Josh Downs and Alec Pierce. Josh Downs has, in my opinion, he's my favorite receiver for the Colts in terms of what he has as a skill set. But the way Shane Steichen run this offense, it's just it's a lot of play action with Jonathan Taylor. Josh Downs is more of like a quick get open type of guy, kind of like a Wan'Dale Robinson. And they're just not utilizing that type of passing game, really. And then Alec Pierce has had a really good year. He led them in receiving last year, but this year, I think he's just super inconsistent. He can get you 0 points or he can get you 15. I just stay away from those boomer bust type of wide receivers.
I was hoping with the Tucker Kraft injury that the Packers would go out there and trade for Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
I think it could have worked, but nonetheless, good start sit list. I would start Kyle Pitts, though. Like, it's just hard not to because of all upside. I can't quit him. Yeah. Cannot quit him.
I mean, I love him as a talent, and he just hasn't had the big games.
No.
You know, his biggest game is like six catches for 87 yards, which is just like, it's just not enough upside for me. But the next matchup, RIP Cam Scatterboo, we already talked about that a few weeks ago, but they're going on the road to Soldier Field playing the Chicago Bears, who had a phenomenal win against the Bengals. Colston Loveland, we'll talk about him more in a second, buddy, but I know you were big on Colston Loveland in the offseason, and finally he's getting some targets, and look at what he did with them. Wow. But the Bears, they are coming off a big-time win. I do think they should be favored here. It could be a little bit of an upset, though. The Bears have been a little up and down this season at times, but I do think Jackson Dart's going to struggle a little bit in this game, and I'm going to take the Bears minus 3.5 here as underdog, as favorites.
So I know everybody thinks that I'm picking on Chicago because they've been hot, but Caleb Williams has not been elite. I think the Giants come in here, and I think Jackson Dart's the better quarterback. We really have a bunch of no names, though, running the ball and receiver. I think that the 3.5 is a tough cover because the Bears' secondary can be exposed, and Wan'Dale Robinson can't get down the football field. DeAndre Swift is supposed to play, but you want to talk about Colston Loveland, so I'm going to make this quick so we can get on to the next slide, but I'm taking the Giants to cover. I think the Bears can win 23-20, but that hook is always where you're looking. You're looking for value. I'm going to take the value there. I made a trade. I'm doing a total rebuild. An offer came to me out of nowhere, and I traded Colston Loveland, a 27 third, and Quinshawn Judkins, who I really like, and got Jackson Dart. And then immediately, this is super flex, 12-team super flex. Immediately, a guy who's trying to contend says he wants to trade me Jaden Daniels. But then I tell him I'm not interested because I think that Jackson Dart could be like Josh Allen. I do. But then he added Bucky Irving. And I texted you about this.
Yeah.
So I made the deal. I pulled the trigger. I sold Dart and got Bucky Irving and Jaden Daniels for the rebuild next year. And on my IR, I have Malik Neighbors, Amari and Hampton, those kinds of trades. So, I didn't want, Dart was really going to – the guy that sold me Dart knew I was interested weeks ago, and then he just made me that offer. And I'm like, Loveland is a great talent, but I have better tight ends. I've got Gadsden.
Yeah.
And
what a player he's good.
Yep. So I just wanted to put that out there. So let's go ahead and get on with the starts and the sits for this game.
Yeah. So first thing we'll talk about is Jackson Dart. He definitely has some above average rushing upside. I don't know about his longevity, though. Josh Allen is just a different beast. He just doesn't get hurt. And if he does, he still plays. But with Jackson Dart, he's a little bit smaller, significantly smaller, but he's been lighting it up, man. I expected him to struggle versus a couple defenses, and yeah, he does have a tendency to throw some picks. just like Josh Allen did when he was a rookie. But Jackson Dart really been impressing me thus far. He's a gamer. I didn't know if Cam Scadaboo being out was going to hurt his ability to pass the ball since they wouldn't have a super efficient run game. They didn't have a very efficient run game last week, and he still put up over 20 points. So definitely like Jackson Dart, and Wan'Dale Robinson might be one of the safest play wide receivers in the NFL for fantasy right now. I mean, that guy is getting his targets, and he tends to do something with them, whether it's a deep shot or it's a screen, whatever the case may be. He's getting yards pretty much every time he gets targeted. And then let's talk about Caleb Williams. He almost put up a 50 bomb last week, caught a touchdown, threw 3 touchdowns. I mean, he's got 2 40-point fantasy games this year, and he looked great. I mean, Rome didn't get any catches, but Caleb Williams looked legitimately great versus the Bengals defense, who's atrocious. But Caleb still looked really good in that game. He's been up and down, but I mean, you have to start him pretty much every single week now because, I mean, he's had 2 bust games, and the rest of the games have been over 20 fantasy points. Rome Odunze, I mean, he's had 6+ targets on every single game. Last week was the first game, and it was a shootout. It was a shootout game, and Rome Odunze didn't have any catches. I think regardless of what happens, I think Rome Odunze is still a start regardless for the rest of the year because he's just being a consistent target in this offense. Don't let 1 week jeopardize you starting him in your lineup. And last but not least, Colston Loveland. He hasn't been utilized a lot in this Ben Johnson offense. Cole Kmet's been a little annoying, and even when he has been on the field, he hasn't been getting a lot of targets. I think that changes because of what happened last week. I mean, that's an unbelievable play. I mean, Caleb Williams hit him right where he needed to, but that play should have never been a 60-yard touchdown. The play was hit him over the middle, have him fall down for 30 yards, and then spike the ball, try to get another playoff. Colston Loveland said, nah, we're going to break 2 tackles and we're going to run to the end zone and win the football game. And that's what Colston Loveland did. 120 yards, 2 touchdowns last week. And I think that earns him a significantly more playing time. He's a first-round pick. I expect him to be utilized. So I'm sticking with Colston Loveland this week at my tight end spot. And for the sits, Kyle Monangai was great last week. I mean, over 100 yards, a touchdown. I loved him out of Rutgers as well, but Swift is coming back, and he's had a great few games as well. So I think they're going to be more of a committee, which means sit both of those guys. And then for the receivers, I'm not starting any pass catcher, any other person on this offense, rather, outside of Dart and Wan'Dale. I think the rest of the guys just have little to no upside. Theo Johnson, Tyrone Tracy, you can add Devin Singletary on that as well. Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, all those guys I'm staying away from.
Jalen Hyatt, what a flop.
Yeah. I thought he might get traded at the deadline because he wants out of there, but they're like, no. So we'll go ahead and get into the next game here. So we've got the Bills and the Dolphins. We thought Jalen Waddle might get dealt. He did not get dealt. We thought maybe other people might get dealt. Nobody got dealt outside of Jalen Phillips on their defense, but that was, way before the deadline. But nonetheless, the Bills are going to Miami playing the Dolphins. Buffalo, they just are coming off a huge win against Kansas City when they were at home. Close-ish game, but they still got the dub nonetheless. I think that gives them a ton of momentum. I think they might legitimately smash the Dolphins' hopes and dreams this week. And I think this might be a 3-possession ball game for the Bills. So I'm going to go Buffalo Bills -9.5. I mean, the Dolphins are just on a verge of complete and total collapse. I mean, Tua has been playing legitimately like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. Achane's like the only bright spot outside of Waddle a little bit. Waddle's been having a decent year, but like defense is horrible. They just traded their best defensive player. I mean, it's just really tough. I think the Dolphins are in total free fall mode right now, so I'm taking the Bills.
I hate laying a bunch of points in the NFL.
Me too.
But I'll tell you, maybe get the termination of Chris Greer wakes this team up. They've already said that they fired the general manager of Miami. I'm going to take the points at home. I'm going to take the points at home here.
Yeah.
I think this might be one of those games where there's a rally cry. The game's in Miami, Buffalo. Sean McDermott won't have them thinking ahead. But I do think in this game, there's enough points here to where the Dolphins can keep it close. Because Tua is super streaky. He can either be
He was like that last
MVP
year.
or he's just cross-eyed and just does the dumbest stuff. And he's press conferences. I don't know. Maybe there's a bit of a
Tua play football.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Dolphins though with Achane. They're still explosive players. I think that they rally around Mike McDaniel a little bit this week. And even though Mike McDaniel, there might have been a cloud there. There might have been a culture issue with Chris Greer. We don't know, and sometimes when there's a termination from somebody higher up, the next week there's general consensus that team's going to perform. I think this might be a game where the Dolphins get the ball first and go right down the field and score, and it's already 7-0. And it may ignite something under Buffalo, but that might be enough points scored to keep the game close. Remember, the Bills' defense isn't exactly world beaters, and they're coming off a huge win against the Chiefs at home last week, like you said. And it could just be a spot where they rest on their laurels a little bit. I'll take Miami, and I'll take the points. Could be themselves a little bit, maybe just a sprinkle on that money line, maybe just a little sprinkle of an upset. You never know.
Mm-hmm. Well, for the start sits, I think Josh Allen, you have to start him if he's not hurt, and he's really never hurt. So Josh Allen can give you a ton of upside with his legs. The rushing touchdowns are there all the time. He's a very good passer as well. What a player he's developed into. James Cook, again, another guy that's just had a phenomenal year. He's going to continue that. Pretty much any person in this offense for the Bills, I would be okay starting. I'll give you my arguments for the guys that I have on the sit list. But Kincaid, I wanted to start him. I almost started him over Waddle. I almost did because I was like, Kincaid is just one of those guys, man, that can just get you a ton of points. He had 6 catches for over 100 yards and a touchdown. Waddle still had a respectable day, but Kincaid, I think, is a startable guy. He's a little streaky, but I think he's a guy that you want to have on your starting lineup. And if he's your tight end one, you're feeling good about it. Achane, he's going to get the ball out of the backfield. He's going to have a, 1 or 2, big time runs every single week. So yeah, you have to start this guy. He's a high end RB1 at this point. I didn't think he was going to perform that well this year, but so far he has proved me wrong. And then the last guy, Jalen Waddle. Ever since Tyreek got hurt, he's just continued. He's just continued to be fantasy relevant. He had 1 week where he had 3 or 4 catches for like 30 yards, but outside of that, he's been spectacular. So you got to start him. And then for the sits, Tua, you said he's a streaky guy. You got to wait for the streak to start. You have to wait for the streak to start, and it just hasn't started yet. If he goes out there and gives you 25 points, maybe you feel good about it next week, but staying away from him. Malik Washington is like a decent floor wide receiver, but I don't think he offers you a ton of upside outside of a touchdown. Ollie Gordon, I hoped for a little bit more with him, but with how Achane's playing, you can't start Gordon. Keon has been really upsetting outside of week 1. I thought a lot more of him coming into this year, but he just hasn't. That's just not how this Buffalo Bills offense works. And then Josh Palmer, he's a depth guy for them at this point. But, Khalil Shakir is a decent start here. If you want to start him in your flex. But, yeah, outside of that, I'm not going with Keon or Palmer here.
Good summary, good analysis. I like it.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to the next game here. Look,
this is the Odin Bowl. This is the Pagan Bowl. We got the Vikings and we got Odin's Ravens going on. Let's go. You love to see it, except it's in a dome. This game should be played in the snow and the northern winds of Minnesota. But when you play in a dome, I think less of you. I don't care.
Well, the Ravens are going on the road. They had a pretty solid win last week with Lamar Jackson coming back. The Ravens, they're going on the road to play the Minnesota Vikings, who are also coming off a big win versus the Lions. Yep. J.J. McCarthy actually had a pretty decent game. Some ups and downs, but overall had a really solid game. Baltimore, even though they're going on the road, they're minus 4.5-point favorites. I'm going with the Vikings here. People forget that the Ravens were still bad with Lamar Jackson healthy early on in the year. I get they have a ton of talent. But at the end of the day, I don't think the Ravens are that good of a football team. So the Vikings, I got them plus 4.5, and I would probably sprinkle a good margin on the money line here.
We disagree. I'm going to take Lamar Jackson to get this team going. There's a sense of desperation. Both teams are kind of, they're in the sellers of their respective decisions, but we see how much of a difference it makes when the Ravens have their Lamar, their MVP player back there. And I think he makes so much of a difference that he goes in there. Aaron Jones is just questionable again. The Vikings, I knew when we got Josh Jacobs in Green Bay that he was out the door because the guy just can't stay healthy. He can't.
Yep.
And I don't know if they're going to be able to cover Justin Jefferson, and maybe J.J. McCarthy balls out, but I got to see him do it in back-to-back games. I think this is one of my plays of the week. I will lay 4.5 points. Some spots you can get this in 4. I think Baltimore is going to get red hot, and the Steelers are going to have to really work to keep their pace to try and make the postseason because I don't think that anybody. I think that they're going to make a serious run. Remember, they were one of my AFC Championship teams.
Me too. I had
Baltimore and Buffalo in the AFC Championship game. And, they're still favored to win in Vegas to win that division because of how much of a difference maker he is. I think you're going to see a lot of Derrick Henry in this game,
Absolutely.
and I'm calling for Rashad Bateman anytime touchdown score. Be nice odds on that. So I would check that out. He's been getting the ball to Zay Jones when he returns. Mark Andrews turns into, Travis Kelce last week or 2 weeks ago, whichever one it was. But I think that we're going to see a Rashad Bateman touchdown here. I think he's going to go scorched earth in the wide receiver 2 spot there. Give me Baltimore.
All right. Well, you see a lot of purple on this screen. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, I think both of those guys are no-brainer starts. Lamar Jackson probably has the most upside of any quarterback in all of fantasy. Probably the best quarterback in fantasy history ever. Lamar is ridiculous. Derrick Henry, I think if this game is close, which I do expect it to be, Derrick Henry's going to get the ball a lot. I don't think this game goes out of their hands like it has in weeks prior, but I think Derrick Henry will get the ball a good bit. And Mark Andrews, I think anytime touchdown Mark Andrews is pretty much a no-brainer, a guaranteed leg if you're doing parlays. He's going to score. And then for the Vikings here, I think J.J. McCarthy versus this atrocious Ravens defense, I think J.J. McCarthy has a decent day. And he's going to have a decent day because he's throwing to the best wide receiver in the NFL in Justin Jefferson. I don't know how he does it. Justin Jefferson has had some really poor quarterbacks thrown to him. Carson Wentz was basically a shell of himself all year because he was banged up. Justin Jefferson's still giving you 10 to 12 fantasy points every single week at the very minimum. And he's just still doing it, man. He is quarterback proof. And J.J. McCarthy's going to love having him for a long time. Then for the sits, both of the running backs stay away from. They're just not viable starters at this point because they're either in a committee, and when Aaron Jones was out, Jordan Mason was not a viable candidate to start on your team. So stay away from both of those guys. DeAndre Hopkins, stay away from him as well. He's just 1 or 2 catch guy on the sideline. Maybe he gets a touchdown, but I'm staying away from it. Isaiah likely ran hot last week, had a decent performance, but staying away from him as well because I do think, even though Lamar loves to throw to his tight ends, I got to see a little bit more from Isaiah likely. And then last but not least, Rashad Bateman. He had a pretty solid start to the year and a great year last year, but he's just kind of faded away into existence, unfortunately. And I don't know if he has a touchdown this game. I hope he does. I'm a fan of Rashad Bateman, but he's just not consistent enough. So,
yeah, I just think, like I said, there's a lot of talent there. I just wish he can get it together. So it's just really unfortunate how this has been playing out for him. But nonetheless, it's just part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next up, we've got how the Jets are favored in this matchup. I will never, ever know. But the Cleveland Browns, they're going on the road to play the New York Jets. The New York Jets, we'll talk about a little bit of what they did at the trade deadline. They're minus 2.5 point favorites. Well, the first thing that they did, they traded away 2 of their best defensive players, Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys, Sauce Gardner to the Colts. Guys, that's 2 major losses. Thought Breece Hall might get dealt. Heard the Chiefs were in there for a 4th-round conditional 3rd-round pick, and the Jets said no. Despite Breece desperately wanting out of New York, they kept him. Garrett Wilson was deemed untouchable by some teams that called to get him. Justin Fields isn't going anywhere because nobody wants to use that contract. So I think the Browns easily win this game. I think the Jets are in free fall tank mode. There might be even some allegations of them tanking at some point this season with all the stuff that's going around with the NBA and the UFC and stuff like that. I'm sure there's going to be some controversy, whether there is or isn't any evidence. But I do think the Browns plus 2.5, I'd sprinkle money line on them as well, even though their offense has been hit or miss, more miss than hit. I think the Jets are just in total lose mode right now.
So just so you guys know, Bobby does these things early in the week, and this was prior to the trade deadline. This has been a 4-point swing on the spread. The Jets are now 2.5-point dogs.
Still going with the Browns, easy peasy here. But I want to say I looked at this line after the fact. Maybe ESPN didn't update it, but I did this yesterday.
Well, I think that this game is going to be really, really close. I'm going to take whoever's getting the points. If the Jets do have the 2.5, I'm going to take that at home. I know that they've lost 2 elite players on the defensive front, but it's not exactly like the Browns have a great quarterback. I mean, Dylan Gabriel has been very, very pedestrian. Justin Fields could break a couple plays off. I think the Jets are really in a good spot with their trades have been immaculate. I mean, these guys are getting older. So, they still got Garrett Wilson. They've still got Breece Hall, who may or may not want to be out there. But I think Breece Hall knows, look, my contract's up. I can go out there and ball against a great defense and make some plays here. I don't know if it's necessarily an easy play. I'm leaning towards the Jets on this one to win the game.
Really?
So, yeah, I'm leaning on them to win because, like I said, when there's a difference in culture, like with Miami firing their GM, well, the Jets said, we've got these great players, and you ain't getting it done here, so we're doing a rebuild, and these guys are playing for their jobs. They're playing for their jobs this week. It's at home. I'm going to take I'm going to take Fields a little bit better than I'm going to take Dylan Gabriel here. He can run away from Myles Garrett better than Dylan Gabriel can escape the Jets front. I mean, they still have good pass rush up front. Quincy Williams got benched. They said he wasn't getting the job done. I think that there's a serious, serious expectation on this Jets football team. Give me New York.
Yeah, definitely a statement. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and look. I think Justin Fields, regardless of how good he is as a actual real-life quarterback, I think he's still a solid fantasy quarterback. He's probably going to get a lot of garbage time work this week as he does. So Justin Fields is a definite start. Breece Hall has been playing way above standard from what I thought he might do this year. He's been really solid this year. So like Breece Hall as a start. And then if Garrett Wilson is fully healthy, Garrett Wilson this year, I don't think he has a 100-yard game, but he's got a consistent 70 to 90 yards with a touchdown type game. So sticking with Garrett Wilson on my lineup, absolutely, even though he's coming off injury. And then Quinshon Judkins, he's going to have a big-time game as well. I know he got hurt a little bit, but they had the bye week, so we should be good now. He should be fully healthy, ready to go. He's had a great year thus far as well. And last but not least, Harold Fannin. Harold Fannon's been getting all the targets from Dylan Gabriel. I think he's out-targeted pretty much every single other person on the Browns. He's had a great rookie year at the tight end spot. He's a cheat code. I've said this all year, cheat code at your tight end spot. Then for the sits, Dylan Gabriel, I think he's basically Case Keenum, and that's about it. And he doesn't have a lot of weapons to work with, so I just don't think he's worth starting right now. He could get you 10 points, 15 points maybe, but staying away from that. Jerome Ford, stay away from him. I think Judkins is fully healthy now, so he's going to be a minor role. And Jerry Jeudy, what a fall from grace he had. I mean, 1,200 yards last year. And I don't even think he's going to get 800 this year. I mean, he's had basically nothing in terms of a role in this offense. He's just completely – the offense is bad, but the offense was bad last year.
They had Jameis Winston throwing him the ball. Like, as soon as Jameis got there, Jeudy took off. And it was a foolish decision for Cleveland to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Man, Jameis is kind of a strange guy, but, man, he was moving the football for them. You know?
I mean, he was moving the football for other teams too. The defense, but he look, that's what you get. That's what you get when you have Jameis. You're going to get a lot of boring. Man, I watched some Jameis film the past few years, especially his Buccaneers, 30-30 here. There's plays where he'll scramble out of the pocket, evade 2-3 sacks, and then all of a sudden he throws a dot.
Yeah.
In the end zone for a touchdown. And then the next play, he'll just throw it nowhere. Nobody's around him. Just throws it straight to a defensive back. It just makes no sense. I don't know how he is but he does it somehow. But the rest of the players, Josh Reynolds, he has as the wide receiver too. He's done pretty much nothing for the Jets. I mean, Garrett Wilson's not even having that great of a year, and he's the dominant wide receiver one. This offense has been really piss poor. And then Mason Taylor, I'm staying away from Mason Taylor as well, 100%.
Yeah, I think that those are very good options to basically just say we're not going to go with lousy players. I mean, it's just that simple. Like, don't go with lousy players. If you want to win these games, that's what you're all about. So, I don't like anybody in this game for fantasy. I don't.
I think Judkins and Fannin are the ones I feel.
That's about the gist of it. So
yeah. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and keep on moving. This is probably my game of the week, in my opinion. The Patriots, they are on a hot streak. They have been playing great football. They're going on the road to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who didn't have a great showing last week. Kind of a dud from pretty much every single player on that Buccaneers offense. But outside of that week, they have been booming all year long. Tampa Bay at home are the -2.5 point favorites. I like the Patriots as dogs here.
Give me Tampa Bay. We're just clashing on everything this week. I think that the Drake May can go down. The Drake May. I sound like a 75-year-old boomer when I say that.
The Drake
May is just having absolute. Oh, why did my background change? I think that Drake May is going to go down there and get a little bit of a reality check defensively for what's going on with Tampa Bay's defense. That's a tough
Todd Bowles, man.
That's it. Like, and who's running the ball for New England? Like, who's running the football down there? Ramondre, is he going to run it? Is Travion Henderson going to get the rock? Because it seems like Vrabel's pretty adamant about not getting him the football.
We'll talk about that in a moment.
I like Baker Mayfield way more. I think he's going to get the ball to Agbuka. I don't think Godwin's going to play, and I don't think Bucky's going to play. But I do like Sean Tucker. I do think Sean Tucker can run the ball. Rashad White can catch the ball in the backfield. Buccaneers at home. I think this game is 23-20, 25-20. I'll take the Bucs, lay the points.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the start sits. So for the starts, Drake May, he's playing like an MVP level player. I mean, he's done it all year long. He hasn't really had a bad game, honestly. He's had a great game fantasy-wise every single week, and I think he's going to continue to do that. The Buccaneers aren't a above average offense. They're around middle of the pack. So I think Drake May is going to have a day. Stephon Diggs, I think he's fairly consistent in terms of his targets. There's been only 1 week where he hasn't really had the best target share, but I think he's the only wide receiver because Boutte got us a 0 bomb last week, unfortunately. Pop Douglas, he's been kind of emerging. They're kind of like the Packers in a way where they just spread the ball around a lot. Not as much as the Packers, but they do spread the ball around. But I think Diggs is the only guy I'd feel super good about right now. And then like you said, man, Baker Mayfield. He's been playing like an MVP candidate as well. I mean, he's been playing phenomenal football outside of last week. I think he continues to do that. I know the Patriots defense is decent, so he's going to have to overcome that, but I think he's still going to be having a pretty good day. Emeka Egbuka, he started off super strong and it's kind of cooled down, got hurt. Didn't have a great week last week, but nobody really did. So I think Egbuka is going to come on strong versus the Patriots. And then last but not least, now this I put him on here because I want to give you guys a little bit of Tez Johnson was my wide receiver 5 in the class last year. He was phenomenal at Oregon. I mean, really, really put on some good stuff on tape. Just super elusive, super fast, quick, twitchy type of, kind of like a Wan'Dale Robinson type. But he fell all the way to the 7th round because he's 156 pounds and he's like 5'10". So he's super undersized and people were like, he's a punt returner. Well, there's been some injuries. Mike Evans got hurt. Chris Godwin's got hurt. And Tez Johnson, since those injuries have happened, he's been a 10, 12-point guy pretty much every single week. So I like Tez Johnson as a flex play if you have him on your team. I think he's fine. I think he's fairly safe because Godwin's not going to play. Obviously, Mike Evans is probably out for the whole season at this point. So I like Tez Johnson here. For the sits, Ramondre Stevenson, I don't know if he's fully healthy. If he does play, even if he does play, man, I'm just staying away from him because even when he does play, he's not having great games this year. He's just been very underwhelming outside of one game this year. Another guy, Travion Henderson, was my RB2 right behind Genty. he just hasn't really gotten an opportunity. He had a few touches last week, had a decent showing with those touches, and then the week before that, averaged 7.5 yards per carry. They just aren't giving him the ball. They picked up a guy off the street in Terrell Williams or whatever his name is. Terrell Jennings. I'm sorry, Terrell Jennings.
There's got to be something. There's got to be something.
I don't know what it is, man, but
there's something that we don't know.
And I think a 50-50 split.
I think it's an internal thing there. There's something internal that we don't know.
Yeah,
it's the only explanation.
Maybe so. I mean, maybe it's some off, locker room stuff. I'm not sure. I mean, every interview that I've seen with him, he seems like a pretty smart, respectable guy. We'll just have to see. And then Pop Douglas, I think he's a trap. Stay away from him. And then Kate Otten, I think, is an okay floor tight end, but there's much better plays out there. I think Schultz is a better guy if he plays, and that's kind of like bottom of the barrel tight ends there. And then Rachaad White, I think Sean Tucker is going to get a little bit more involved than people would like, and Rachaad White's kind of put up some duds in back-to-back weeks here.
Super streaky player, super streaky stuff, man. That's just what you get with him. So,
yeah. All right, let's keep on moving along. So the Saints. They lose with Tyler Shuck. He looked kind of underwhelming in all honesty. They're going on the road to play the Carolina Panthers, who are 5-4 and have a couple of really good wins. They have a win. They have a shutout win versus the Falcons. They just beat the 5-1 Packers. I mean, they've had some really solid wins this year, but the offense has been piss poor. I mean, they just haven't really gotten a lot going on offense, and their defense is just kind of keeping them in the game, which is really weird because they don't have a lot of solid players outside of J.C. Horn on that defense. Regardless of that, Carolina minus 5.5 point favorites. I think this is the easiest line of the weekend.
Rico Dowdle. Let me say that again. Rico Dowdle. Dude's an absolute unit. He's helping Bryce Young out there. Bryce Young looked so bad against the Packers. He had less than 150 yards passing. They did not win the game because of him. But this is one of my favorite things that's out there. An NFC South matchup, baby.
Yeah.
You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. They're always fun. They're always good for some violence going on there.
Yeah.
Down there in Charlotte, and the culture's been completely changed from what's been going on there the past 3 years.
Yeah.
I think that Tyler Shuck, I don't know, were the Saints on the road last week?
I want to say they were home last week.
So this is his first road start in the NFL against a team that's got something to play for. Alvin Kamara, God bless him, but he is washed. I'm going to take the Panthers here. I'm going to take the point, lay the points here. I just can't trust Tyler Shuck. There's not enough on him. I thought the Saints made a mistake going away from Rattler. I don't think that everything's his fault. And quite frankly, if I'm Spencer Rattler, I'm holding the clipboard the rest of the year, and I'm just doing the right thing and trying to see if I can get an opportunity to catch on somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I think that if the Saints somehow end up with the one pick, if they somehow end up with the worst team because they're in contention for it, the Jets have a win, the Saints have a win.
You got to get you a Tyson.
Listen, when you go to Alabama, right? If you're from the state of Alabama, a majority of Alabama fans are Saints fans because that's the closest team to Tuscaloosa. They're not Falcon fans, and they're definitely not pulling for anybody in Tennessee. And Jacksonville is on the other side of the panhandle, which could be an entirely different culture. But nonetheless, I'm going to take the Panthers to cover here. I think they give Shuck a big problem, and I think Rico Dowdle has 175-2 again. Just another day.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm with you there. So I don't have Bryce Young as a start. I don't think dude, Dowdle's at the very top of the list, man. I looked at it. He might be the second leading rusher in the NFL right now, and he's only started like 4 or 5 games at this point. Dowdle has just been killing it, man. I've been really impressed with him, super impressed with him. Big physical back that has a little bit of juice to him, so definitely a start for him. Poor thing, Chuba Hubbard hasn't even been playing that bad. He's just getting outperformed, and you have to give it the guy who's hot. Tet McMillan, he's a super safe play. Even though the offense is terrible, he's still getting like 8 for 70 pretty much every single week. And Xavier Legette's coming on a little bit now. Even though this offense is poor, and I do think that limits his ceiling a good bit, he's still playing decent football the past few weeks. So definitely excited to see what he does versus the Saints. I think this offense is going to have a decent day versus the Saints, who have just been horrible. And then Chris Olave, he's getting targets every week, regardless of who's throwing him the football. I thought he might be a trade candidate at the trade deadline. He wasn't. I thought the Saints would do a lot more than just trading Rashid Shaheed. I think with that trade, Chris Olave gets even more targets. And then Jawan Johnson. I mean, you got to have another guy to throw to, and Jawan Johnson's been a consistent guy this year. Hasn't had the biggest ceiling, but, I mean, he's given you 8-10 points, and if that's what you need out of a player for you to get your win, I think you should start Jawan Johnson. And then for the sits, man, Bryce Young, I got to see something, man. I got to see something from him. Right now, it just seems like he's playing backyard football a little bit too much. He can't play on time. We need him to play on time. He needs to play within the structure of the offense, and I don't know if this offense is hard for him to understand or if his confidence is shot. I don't know what it is, but he's going to have to be a little bit more consistent. I did trade for him in my main league. I got him for pennies, basically. Just if he works out, he works out. We'll see. We've seen Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold both struggle with the Panthers very recently, and look what they're doing now. So, I mean, right now they're playing like some of the best quarterbacks in football, both of them. So maybe he gets out of Carolina and goes somewhere else. We'll see. Chuba, like I said, he's just not going to get the touches anymore. They paid him, and he hasn't been playing bad, but Rico Dowdle's here to stay. They're going to feed him as a workhorse. Shuck didn't have that great of a game last week. I don't think he's going to continue to have good games. I think the Panthers are going to make him struggle and have a nightmare of a game. And then Kamara. Now, 1 second before I go to Kamara, I do think the Saints had a plan. They're going to start Spencer Rattler half the year, and then they were going to start Shuck the other half. They knew that they were going to do that because they knew they weren't going to be competitive. I think that's the right move, so you can see what you have in both quarterbacks. Yes, Spencer Rattler is the better quarterback in my opinion, and if they wanted to win, they would keep Rattler out there. But they want to see what they have, so they're going to let Shuck start, and we're going to see how he does. I don't think he's going to do that well. I wasn't super impressed with his film at Louisville, so we'll see. Kamara, he just is not getting blocks. The offense is just not doing well enough for him to get the ball a consistent amount of times. And when he does get the ball, it's just been kind of underwhelming outside of a few games early on in the year. I think Kamara's kind of shot, honestly. The offense in general is just shot. And then last but not least, I have Taysom Hill. Pretty much, this goes for pretty much everybody else in the Saints offense. Taysom Hill's just a placeholder. So anybody else on this offense, whether it's, the guy from Holy Cross, Bub Means, whatever, stay away from any of those guys.
It's good stuff, man. I mean, when I think of the Saints, it's just
they're definitely playing for a top 5 pick. But I'm gonna go real quick. You go ahead and tell them about our sponsor cut.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the best social betting platform. You could have bet on Mom Domney on all these elections that happened the other night. You could just go to Cut and sign up, use the code COVER2CASH for Cut. You get yourself a nice little healthy deposit bonus. You can bet on anything. We've been going over these NFL games. You're free to sign up there. Make your bets against other people. The VIG is lowest in town, baby. It's the lowest in town. You're not going to pay all those minus 110. You'll never see minus 115, 120. That's highway robbery done by DraftKings and FanDuel and Fanatics and all the other sports books. They're taking your money and keeping that fee. With Cut, you don't get that. Usually you get 103, 104, unless it just depends. If you're betting the money line, then you're going to obviously do things a little differently. Most head-to-head matchups, we've had Major League Baseball, college football, Canadian football. In the spring, you're going to have the UFL on there. You can bet on politics. You can bet on anything you want there. WWE, Saturday night's main event has happened. You can bet on who's going to win a championship, who's going to drop a championship. Anything that you want to bet on, Cut has it. It's illegal in 45 states in the United States. It's not restricted like DraftKings because it's peer-to-peer and you don't bet with a clearinghouse, right? The payouts happen within 24 hours for a minimal fee. It's an absolutely wonderful service. Thanks to Cut sponsoring us. That's how we were able to have Steven Garcia on our show. He's got a little connection there. This is all American. It's not offshore betting. It's within the laws of your state rules. Obviously, I'm not going to promote anything that's against the rules, but in your state, you just got to be mindful of what's going on. But clean interface. There's an app in the App Store. It looks just like any other book that you like to use. The deposits are quick and secure. Can't say enough good things about them. I've texted the owner of Cut, and he actually texted me the other day, asked how I was doing. Just had some things going on with a few other things, and he checked in, and it was really nice of him. So I fully support Cut and everything that they've done to help keep this show going. We're loving partnering with them. I can't think of, I really enjoyed taking Bobby's money a few weeks ago on Cut. I knew he couldn't watch on the bet because he picked LSU and I picked Ole Miss. So I just have to make sure that I enjoy taking people's money. But also with
I've been killing it on Cut, man. Been killing it.
But since we're talking about the sports betting, as you see on the ticker down there while we're promoting Cut, if you check out my Winnable, I'm going to start a college basketball blog that's going to start going up here shortly. My free plays are already up for today for both college football games. It's $10. $10. It's nothing irrational, nothing crazy. $10. I've been absolutely clobbering it with my college football picks. In fact, I've got two games that I picked on Winnable today that are playing right now, and both of them are about to close in on the half. I won't reveal the picks. I'll reveal them a little bit later. Maybe not. Depends how I feel, because that is a livelihood. That is how you help me. Helps fund this show. $10, y'all. There are people that charge $49.99, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I post my picks. I post my bets. I stand by them when I win, and I stand by them when I don't win. But I win more than I lose, and that's how this show is funded. So we're so thankful to Cut. We're so thankful, and let's go. We want to win. We love winning here. We love winning our fantasy matchups. We love beating everybody. We love conquering. That is what we do. This channel is about football, but it's also about winning, and we want you to win. So Justin Paul Sports, winnable.com, and go to Cut, sign up at Cut, and use the code COVER2CASH. Get yourself a deposit bonus. Follow my picks, and you'll win some money. Who doesn't love money? If you want to give your money away, you can just go to DraftKings. They'll take your money. They won't even honor bets if players get injured. That's the kind of nonsense they're on. Cut's got integrity. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you very much. Let's get on to our next game. Bobby.
All right. Well, the next game, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. A little bit of an AFC South matchup. Jacksonville Jaguars going on the road to play the Houston Texans. Well, the Texans, I don't know if C.J. Stroud's going to play, man. I hope he does, but we'll see. I don't think the hit was that bad. I think they took a precaution to keep him out of that game. But Houston, they're minus 1.5 point favorites. I like the Jaguars here. I think they're a little bit more streaky of a team right now. Travis Hunter is out, even though it's said to not be very serious. They just went ahead and put him on IR. And, Travis Etienne's playing well. Trevor Lawrence is just playing – is he the new Josh Allen, man? He's getting a rushing touchdown or two every single week, man. It's kind of crazy. Brian Thomas Jr., he tweaked himself a little bit. We'll see if he plays. But Parker Washington, I think BTJ will be out this week, and I think Parker Washington's going to have a big-time game.
Well, Davis Mills was named the starter yesterday for the Texans, so C.J. Stroud is not playing. But
does that mean the line changed? What's the line now?
It's pretty much consistent. It's just Jacksonville -1. It's flipped a little bit. So, but nonetheless, I'm going to take the Texans just because they're the home team here. I'm going to take the Texans. I know that sounds like such a fallacy with logical, but I like Houston's defense. I love Will Anderson getting to Trevor Lawrence or Daniel Hunter or Jalen Petrie getting a pick. Christian Harris and Henry To'oTo'o.
They've got a great defense. They probably got a top 5 defense in the NFL right now.
And I think that we're going to see Nick Chubb have himself a game because the Jaguars defense does have players that I like as well. But these AFC South matchups, I've got to take a home team when it's within 3 points. And especially with, even with C.J. Stroud out there, Davis Mills has played. He's got some experience. And he's been successful. And I think that he'll be steady enough to not turn the ball over, just to do a very simple, basic game plan. Give me the Texans at home to win the game.
And people forget, Davis Mills is a long-term player for this team. He's been there since before Deshaun Watson got there. He was the starting quarterback before Deshaun Watson got there. Or before C.J. Stroud, I'm sorry. Before C.J. Stroud was there.
Never forget what he did when the Texans were tanking for the number 1 overall pick with Lovie Smith there. and they went and put belt to ass to Indianapolis, knocked the Colts out of the playoffs, and they gave the
They
number
lost
one
the number
overall
one
pick to the Panthers, who
and
took
they got Bryce Young.
Bryce Young. So it was.
I don't think the Texans would have been all in on Bryce Young. I think they still would have taken their guy in C.J. Stroud.
I don't
Really?
Nope, I don't because I think D'Amico Ryans is a former Alabama player.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he would have made sure that he got Bryce Young and Will Anderson. That would have definitely happened. We would have had 2 Alabama boys playing in Texas. Zero doubt. Zero doubt.
Well,
I stand firm on that.
There is a quick little thing that we need to talk about. Jacoby Myers is not a Raider anymore.
Right.
He is a Jaguar now. Now, listen, Jaguars run a fairly complicated offense under Liam Cohen. If Jacoby Myers does play, I don't think he plays a lot because there's only so much you can learn about the offense in the short amount of time that he's been there. So I'll explain that a little bit more. But I do think for the Jaguars, I do think they win this game, and I do think they have a good day offensively, despite how good the Texans' defense is. Trevor Lawrence, think he's a guy that's going to get you a rushing touchdown. Think he's going to get you 250 and a touchdown through the air as well. Now, he probably throws a pick. He loves to throw 1 touchdown, 1 pick. That's just what he has done his whole career. I think he's a start. I think he's a mid to low end QB1 this week. Travis Etienne, I think he's a great starter as well. He's had a great season thus far. He cooled down a little bit, had a great start, cooled down a little bit, but then he's kind of on the uptick right now. I think he can have a decent day, especially getting a few balls out of the backfield. And then Parker Washington. This guy has had 8-9 targets consistently throughout the season. He's got a ton of targets on the year, and that's with Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. I think Parker Washington's going to have a big day. Christian Kirk. I am not a big Christian Kirk guy, but for whatever reason, when he plays, he gets targets out of the slot. He just knows how to get open. He's not pretty. I mean, it's not pretty, but he's kind of like wide receiver Travis Kelce is kind of what he is. So with Christian Kirk, I like Jalen Noel a lot more in the slot, but Christian Kirk, he's the veteran. They're going to start him over Jalen Noel. But I do like Jalen Noel as a long-term dynasty piece. And then Nico Collins, no-brainer. I think he had 7 for 80 yards last week. That's with Davis Mills playing the majority of the game. Then for the sits, Davis Mills / CJ Stroud. At this point, I did not know who was starting. They named that today, right? So Davis Mills yesterday. Davis Mills sit. I mean, you just have to sit him. He's not a high-end quarterback. He's a backup for a reason, and I don't think he's going to give you a big-time fantasy day. Jaden Higgins, kind of am confused why he was a second-round pick. Didn't love his film. Hasn't done much this year outside of a touchdown here or there. Stay away from him. Nick Chubb, he's getting the volume. He's just not doing a lot with it. The blocking has not been great for him. Jacoby Myers, he's talented. I think BTJ misses 1 game, and I do think Travis Hunter comes back as soon as he's eligible to return to practice. So there is like a week or 2 window where Jacoby Myers can be fantasy relevant, but I don't think it's this week because he has to learn the offense, and I don't think he has a big time snap percentage. So staying away from him this week. I could be wrong and he could know the offense, but I don't think he's going to. And then Bashal Tutin. He's a big time play guy, but Travis Etienne's going to get the majority of the touches.
It's good stuff, man.
It is also a clown fest right now on this Thursday night game. If you guys have been watching it, it's been a clown fest. Evan Ingram's got multiple drops, big time drops, and the Raiders are just both teams are muffing punts. Just I don't know, it's crazy. But let's go ahead. Monday night, man. It's always got some Monday night magic to it. But
on
next
Thursday?
On Thursday, my bad. Thursday night magic.
Y'all, Bobby has not been consuming the sauce. I promise. He's been a good boy.
When you talk a lot, you're bound to make a couple mistakes. It is what it is. But next matchup, another kind of intriguing matchup because Jacoby Brissett has been named the starter, and they moved Kyler Murray to IR today, which I was kind of surprised by. He looked like he was totally capable. I think that's the move, just saying, hey, Kyler, you're done as a Cardinal, and we're going to take another another player and add him to the squad. I think that's just basically saying, hey, he's hurt. He's not playing. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not super deep into the Cardinals, so we'll see. But they're going on the road to play one of the best teams in the NFL right now in the Seattle Seahawks. And the Seahawks, they're minus 6.5-point favorites. With Jacoby Brissett, he's really been cooking with the Cardinals. They just beat the Cowboys. Sam Darnold in this offense, man. Sam Darnold in this offense has been really cooking with JSN. They just got Rashid Shaheed. Another kind of same sort of situation with we'll talk about that more as well. But do like the Seahawks minus 6.5 here. It's a perfect line, though. It's a really close line because this offense has been moving with Jacoby Brissett. This is a line that I wouldn't bet on, but I'm going to stick with the better team in the Seahawks.
I think this might be a look-ahead spot for Seattle. They got the Rams next week on the road, and that's going to be in contention for the NFC West. This is an NFC West divisional matchup. Yep. I think there's a sense of relief in Phoenix here with Kyler being put on the bench. It's really hard to get the vibe because he hasn't really done anything to get benched, and he's getting paid a ton of money. So to put him on the bench just to put him on the bench is either Jonathan Gannon's been told by the owner, look, your job's on the line. This is year 3 from you, and we've seen a few things from Brissett. Because let me tell you something, Jacoby Brissett is on his 6th football team. He's not a starting quarterback. He's not a long-term solution. He's a placeholder. I'm not so sure that the Cardinals are going to give up on Kyler Murray. He may have a legit – it's hard to say. There are fans that have conspiracy theories, they're just covering for him because they don't like him, because of his body language, his attitude, his size, whatever. He's been here 7 years. When you're paying a quarterback a ton of money, it's really hard to put him on the bench. Unless you're the Atlanta Falcons, that was a really dumb move. But Jacoby Brissett is not a first-round draft pick, rookie. A little bit of a difference there. You know, this isn't a new coach either. This isn't like Gannon was fired and we're trying to save you for next year. Cardinal season is on life support. It's not dead yet. I think that they're going to cover the 6.5. I'll take the Arizona Cardinals to go on the road in a very tough environment. I think Calais Campbell gets a strip sack on Sam Darnold. And
what a player, man.
I'm going to say this, and this is not I got to be very careful here. I think that this Darnold might get injured by this defensive line. I think he might get hurt. I don't want him to get hurt, obviously. But I also think that JSN might get locked up by that kid from Ohio State as well. A little OSU on OSU action. And the secondary there, what's his name?
You're talking about the guy from Michigan, Will Johnson?
Or Michigan. Yeah, Will Johnson, little Michigan, Ohio State action going on over there.
Yeah.
And Walter Nolan made a big difference. So when you got Walter Nolan up front, stopping the rock, you know, the Seahawks just cannot run the football to save their life.
Yeah.
And I think that you're going to see a little injection of life here with the Cardinals. I do. I think the Cardinals can cover the points here.
Okay, so they did beat the Cowboys decisively last week. The Cardinals did, but a big playmaker in that game was Walter Nolan. Look, I did not know. I watched a little bit of his film, but I wasn't super aware of him as a player. I knew he was going to be a first-round pick, and the Cardinals got him. And he hasn't played all year because he's been hurt.
Yes.
He comes out there, and what a statement he made. He made multiple tackles for loss. He had a sack. He had multiple batted balls at the line. I mean, he was just making plays all over the place. And what are they feeding Calais Campbell? What is he doing? Because this guy is almost 40 years old, and he's out there still making plays, man. That dude is just a monster. Calais Campbell, I mean, he kind of, you know, he's like – Vince Wilfork, you know, he played forever and was he wasn't a big sack guy, but he was a guy that was a contributor to a defense for a long time. And, you know, he's probably not going to make the Hall of Fame. He's kind of like a Vince Wilfork type where he's just made plays forever. And he's been on so many teams. Wilfork didn't really play on that many teams, but Calais has been everywhere. And he's just continuing to make plays, man. It's been very interesting to see how his career played out. And Jacoby Brissett as well out of NC State. I kind of watched him come up from being a backup at New England to making a bunch of plays, man. So I'm really excited to see what they do in this game versus the Seahawks.
Jimbo Fisher had Walter Nolan and LT Overton, and they both transferred out of there. Like, you had those two players on your defensive front, and you couldn't win. Like, it's just, man. it's just depressing for.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care because they're A&M. So as far as I'm concerned, what you deserve.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. But for the start sits, Sam Darnold, I mean, he's got the most yards per attempt of any quarterback in the NFL. That's a big telling stat. I mean, he's been very successful. Very successful. He's thrown a bunch of touchdowns. He's top 5 in yards. I mean, he's just been killing it in this system, which same as this West Coast offense is just what he likes. And then Jackson Smith-Njigba. There wasn't a lot of competition with him. I know Rashid Shaheed is there now, and I'll talk about him in a moment. But JSN has been the best wide receiver in football this year. I mean, he's just been performing at a very high level, and the system has been played to his strengths. So definitely he's a no-brainer start. He's probably going to finish as top 5 wide receiver in fantasy, even if he plays average the rest of the year. And then Jacoby Brissett, I look at his fantasy numbers, 22 points, 24 points, 26 points the past 3 weeks he started. At some point, you got to start him. He's going to be your QB2, and you're going to like it. And Marvin Harrison Jr. had a career high in touches.
yeah.
I mean, last week. Great stuff. I mean, dude, he's played great. He's just getting open. You just got to have somebody that gives him the ball. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is getting open, and Jacoby Brissett's getting him the ball. So it's been pretty simple. Trey McBride, he's been a high-value tight end without Jacoby Brissett. But with Jacoby Brissett, it's a different animal now. He has more than double the amount of touchdowns in 3 weeks with Brissett than Kyler has had with Trey McBride his entire career. That's insane. That's insane. That should not be happening, and that's why Jacoby Brissett will be starting this weekend. Then for the sits, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, they're still on a 50-50 split right now. Neither one of them are going to be relevant unless they score a touchdown. A.J. Barner, he had a really hot streak there for a minute with Sam Darnold, and then they've kind of cooled down since then. And then the running backs for the Cardinals, I'm actually starting Amari DiMercato in one of my leagues, and I'm not feeling good about it at all. I know he's got like a 10-point projection. I highly doubt he makes that. I mean, he's had a couple big runs, but that was versus the Cowboys' atrocious defense. That's why they traded for Quinnen Williams, because their run defense was so horrible. So, yeah, I don't think DiMercato is going to do much, or Bam Knight's going to do much outside of maybe a goal line touchdown.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he's projected to get 12 points. There's something that could possibly be there, but we just got to wait and see. Anything can happen.
He's an explosive player and can fight through contact, and I like that, but it's just I don't know. I feel like they're going to let Jacoby throw the rock a lot in this game.
Well, I guess we'll see. Let's just keep on checking on, my friend. Good stuff for your start sits, y'all. If you pay attention to these plays on these fantasy plays, because Bobby is way better at fantasy football than I am. And quite frankly, he's, done the research and done the film and studies this stuff. I'm more on the sports betting side, but that's kind of a mesh of what I make things work. I do play fantasy. He does sports bets. That's why we talk about both things.
Absolutely.
But great stuff there, Bob. Great stuff. And another division matchup.
Yeah. So before I get into this, over my 26 sleeper leagues, and out of those 26 sleeper leagues, I mean, there's a few of them that are free, like the redraft league that we did that I thought was a dynasty league. That one's not going too well because I drafted it like it was a dynasty league. But out of my 26 leagues, I've got a substantial amount of money wrapped up in all these leagues invested, and I've got an 80% win rate.
Let's go, Bobby.
I'm cooking this year. A lot of the players that I thought were going to do really good things have been doing good things for me. So, I missed on a few, but I've been hitting really, really good this year. Harold Fannin Jr. was a guy that I was on before anybody else. I was on him before he even got drafted. But Rams at 49ers. This is a really interesting matchup because the 49ers, I don't even think they should be called the 49ers anymore. They should be called the 29ers because they have about 29 people on their team left. I mean, they are just every single week somebody's tearing an ACL, somebody's getting hurt. Dude, they look, my best friend is a 49ers fan, and look, I want them to do good. I want them to come to the Super Bowl and play the Chiefs so they can lose again. But they just can't. I mean, at this point, they're like the Lions last year where they just have their starting grocery bag boys at their defensive slots. I mean, they just can't they just can't keep going on like this. And I think the Rams are going to beat them up. Mac Jones
Okay.
is starting again this week, I believe. Ricky Pearsall is still banged up. Christian McCaffrey miraculously has survived this plague of injuries that the 49ers have had. Fingers crossed, because I have him in multiple leagues. I told you guys to buy him because he was worth a second-round pick before the season started. And I was like, guys, if he plays, he's a top 5 back in fantasy easily. And that's what he's been playing like. And they haven't been blocking very well for him. So I like the Rams -3.5 here regardless. I just don't think – you can't keep winning football games with nobody.
So once again, Bobby and I disagree on, man, we are just been opposite ends of the spectrum this week.
Somebody's going to be really wrong.
Yeah. I like the 49ers at home getting the 3.5. I think the half is the difference. They're just finding ways to get it done, but Kyle Shanahan has Sean McVay's number. He's one coach, and Matt LaFleur is the other one who's got Sean McVay's number. And you're playing the game. It's the NFC West. This is a fight for the division. They got to keep pace with Seattle. The NFC West has been one of the best teams, best conferences. Jesus Christ. The best divisions in the NFC.
Dude, we're both having it, man.
Yeah. But I do think that Mac Jones, I've always believed in him, not just because he went to Bama, but just because the way he ran that offense down the year in 2020 in the COVID year with winning 10 conference games, winning the national championship, blowing out Georgia, blowing out Ohio State. And the guy went to New England where they had defensive coordinators running the offense, still went to the Pro Bowl, still went to the playoffs. The talent's there, and he's got a system that fits for him. I think the team fights for him. They still got Trent Williams. They've still got George Kittle. They still got their backfield. But I think the Fred Warner loss is more pertinent than the Nick Bosa loss.
Yeah,
but I still think I think the 49ers cover here. I'm not so sure if they win, if we can get a value. If you can get it at 4, definitely take the 4. 3.5 is still nice enough for me. Give me the 49ers to cover.
All right. Yeah, the Rams have been so electric on offense, and we'll talk about this because you see a lot of blue on the green side here. Matthew Stafford leads the NFL in touchdowns right now, has been playing like an MVP candidate at almost 40 years old. He's been killing it with this McVay offense. Kyron Williams has had another great year. He just seems like he's going to be a guy that's going to get you 1,200. He's like Nick Chubb. He's like Nick Chubb early on in his career. He's not doing anything flashy. He's not super explosive, but he's hard to tackle, and he's got good vision. And that's all you need to be a productive back in the NFL. And Kyron Williams is going to be a guy that gets you 1,200 yards every single year and 10-plus touchdowns. That's just what he's going to do. And Kyron Williams honestly offers a little bit more out of the backfield than people expect out of him. So him as a start. Puka Nacua, I think he's going to be fully healthy this game. I think he was announced that he would be playing either today or yesterday. When he plays, you just have to start him. He's going to get you like 17 targets, something crazy like that. He's going to catch like 15 of them. It's just pretty much every single target he has is a catch, unless it's a throwaway. He's just got magnetic hands, and you just have to start him just because of that. Devontae Adams leads the NFL in touchdowns right now.
Not surprised.
What a player, man. You just throw it to him on the goal line, and he just goes up and gets it. Not a ton of yards. I think he only has like 400, 500 yards right now, but has, I want to say, 8 touchdowns, which is insane. Love Devontae Adams as an anytime touchdown play here. Matthew Stafford's throwing 3+ touchdowns pretty much every single week, so phenomenal stuff from him. And then only player I'd start from this 49ers team is Christian McCaffrey. For some reason, man, they can't get the ball running with him very much. They had a good running performance last week. Since George Kittle's been back, man, he's really got the run game going. He's been really important to the run game, and Christian McCaffrey's been very, very fortunate because of that, because he was averaging like 3.7 yards a carry before George Kittle came back, and he had more receiving yards than he did rushing yards. Christian McCaffrey is currently on pace to have 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards like he did in 2019. So he was the RB1 that year, Offensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to do something similar this year if he stays healthy. For the sits, you see pretty broad stuff here for the 49ers. Whoever's starting for the 49ers quarterback, sitting them, whether it's Brock Purdy or Mac Jones. It looks like it's going to be Mac Jones this week. And then pretty much any wide receiver for the 49ers I'm staying away from Because who are they throwing to? Kendrick Bourne's had a couple of big weeks, but he's cooled down. Jawan Jennings is playing with 3 broken ribs and half of an ankle. Staying away from him. Are you throwing it to Sky Moore? Stay away from him. I mean, there's all these guys. Ricky Pearsall, I don't even think is a start at this point. You have to wait to see what he does after 5 weeks off. And then Brian Robinson Jr., who had a decent game last week, staying away from him this week. He had a couple of pretty solid runs. Once he had a hurdle on the sideline as well. Staying away from him, though, because Christian McCaffrey's getting the bulk of the carries. That was a game where they were up big, and they were just like, all right, we're gonna let Brian Robinson eat in garbage time. And then for the LA Rams, Terrence Ferguson, I'm staying away from. He needs to get more consistent. He's not getting a ton of targets. And then Jordan Whittington, he's going back to a guy that's not going to get a ton of targets because Puka's back.
Simple as.
Very, very simple stuff there. So stay away from the 49ers unless their name's Christian McCaffrey. I don't think they're going to have a ton of upside this week. But another game that I'm kind of excited about, the Detroit Lions, they're going on the road to play the Washington Commanders. Really tough business for the Washington Commanders. They had their star quarterback dislocate his arm in a hip drop tackle, and he's going to be out probably the entire season. I don't think he misses any next year, so I think Jaden Daniels is not a sell in your dynasty leagues. I'm just saying that right now. I would not sell him right now.
It's his non-throwing arm.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to get a ton of. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
I'm going to take the commies here. I'm going to take the points.
You think they rally around Mariota, huh?
Well, I think so because, I mean, both these teams are coming off a letdown, especially Detroit at home, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, listen, J.J. McCarthy's undefeated in the state of Michigan. He owns that place, right? And I'm not a J.J. McCarthy guy. I'm not even – you think I'm bad on Indiana. I really don't trust Michigan. And what he did there, handoff merchant, got it done, though. Got it done. I was glad to see him get it done. He got it done against the Bears, so he seems to be doing all right in the NFC North. But the Packers will put belt to ass when they play Minnesota later in the season. But nonetheless, Mariota's not the worst insurance policy you can have back there. He still has legs to do some RPOs and keep the Lions honest. I don't like the Lions secondary at all. Just stay away from Aiden Hutchinson. Terrion Arnold is in the secondary for the Lions, but I know he can be cooked, even though he's an Alabama player, and I don't like to speak poorly on them. But I think that, just give the ball to Big Bill. You got Terry McLaurin down there, who I think is going to have a big game. Anytime touchdown scorer, Terry McLaurin down there. And Zach Ertz is still being productive at his age at that offense. So give me the commies plus 8.5 at home. Gross overreaction to Jaden Daniels being out.
Because I think the Commanders, I mean, they got destroyed by the Chiefs, but I mean, the Chiefs, in my opinion, are a much better football team than the Lions. But we'll go ahead and get into the start sits for this game. So Jared Goff, super safe quarterback to start. I mean, he's not going to give you a ton of high ceiling games unless he throws 5 touchdowns, which he has done this year. And he did last year. I'm staying. I don't think the ceiling's going to be that great for him. I think this is like 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He's a very efficient quarterback, so I'm starting him at my QB2 spot. I think 20 points is reasonable for him. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, I know he's had back-to-back weeks. I think he will come strong versus this Commanders kind of meh defense. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, he had nothing in the first half, still almost had 100 yards on like 7 or 8 catches last week. You have to start him no matter what. And then Sam Laporta, man, he had a bonkers game last week. He's doing really good stuff. So I like Sam Laporta as a decent to high ceiling tight end for you. Then for Washington, the only guy that I see that's any somewhat consistent for this team is Deebo Samuel. Mariota has been very up and down as a starter. He's had multiple starts this year. Jacoski had a big time start, and then he's been pretty much underwhelming ever since. Terry McLaurin's been hurt, but when he has played, he hasn't had any good games outside of that one sideline touchdown catch. So don't like any of those guys for the Commanders. I like Terry McLaurin's talent. They just have not been getting him the ball. David Montgomery, he's a guy that could have a big game, but he's the 1B in this offense, and he's not getting the carries over Jahmyr Gibbs unless they're up really big. And then Jameson Williams, I've been telling you guys to avoid him all year. I told you guys to avoid him in the offseason. He's basically a nothing burger every single week unless he gets a big-time touchdown.
Can't sum it up any better.
I mean, Bill might have a good game. I like him as a player. He's just been super underwhelming the past 3 weeks now.
Yeah, but we're going to see. I think the Commanders, like I said, I think there's a little bit of a rally going on there.
Yeah.
I think they're going to rally up this week. It'd be wonderful. Washington, it'd be wonderful for you to beat the Lions. I would thoroughly fulfill my heart to keep the Packers in the first place in the NFC North.
Well, right through Thornton's fingers, man. That would have been a big-time catch. But next up, we have Pittsburgh Steelers. Hard-nosed football on both sides. Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, they're going on the road to play John Harbaugh and the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are minus 3.5-point favorites, and both of these teams are kind of on the up and up right now. I mean, the Chargers, I will say they lost Joe Alt for the season. They lost Rashawn. They lost Rashawn Slater at the beginning of the season, so they had to trade for a tackle at the trade deadline. I think he'll be serviceable, but we'll see. The Chargers still minus 3.5-point favorites. I think Aaron Rodgers upsets this team, and I think the Steelers might rally a little bit and try to say, "Hey guys, we're the team in this division." So we'll see.
I think Pittsburgh's an outright winner here.
Yeah,
TJ Watt. I mean, they got 3 starting offensive linemen now. Amari Hampton's not playing. They do have Quentin Johnson, who I do like, and they still got Ladd McConkey. And they've got Mr. Gadsden, and the Steelers don't exactly have an electric defense, but when you front 5, when there's injuries on the front, especially when you lose an all-star talent like that, and you're taking a little bit of a step back with the running game, the pass rush is going to get home. I think T.J. Watt has 2 sacks. Calling it 2 sacks in this game. Strip sack on Herbert late in the game. I'm sprinkling the money line on the Steelers to win this game.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is still very serviceable. And I know that they had that game on Sunday night. It was 2 weeks ago against the Packers. They looked bad, but this is a step down defensively from Green Bay to Los Angeles. Give me the Steelers to win. See my boy doing a discount double check, just busting out the belt. By the way, it's an old Packers thing with Aaron Rodgers when he was there. Is when he used to put on the championship belt celebration like that. Whenever a team would mock him with that, immediately it was a curse. And the Packers would just put belt to ass. However, Rashawn Gary did it to Aaron Rodgers, and they never recovered. I mean, he's an old man now, but I'm just saying. I love Aaron Rodgers, my favorite quarterback ever. He'll never be replaced, in my opinion. Never, ever. It's just unbelievable.
He was something special, man, for a little while. For a long while. But for the start sits this game, I think Justin Herbert is a guy that you can start reliably. Every single week now. There are games where he started really strong and then had a couple weeks back-to-back where he was kind of underwhelming, but I think he's still a guy that's going to give you multiple touchdowns in a game. With Oronde Gadsden coming in, really helping him out as like a safety blanket. So Justin Herbert, definitely a start. And Oronde Gadsden, I was trying to tell you guys before the season started to pick this guy up. I drafted him in a lot of my rookie drafts. Oronde Gadsden is a stud. He's got super glue hands. He has a wide receiver background. His dad was a wide receiver in the NFL for many, many seasons. Oronde is definitely a start. I made the mistake of starting Waddle over Gadsden, and Gadsden seems like his floor in tight end premium leagues is 14 points. That's how he's been every single week since he's been a full-time starter, and I don't see his role changing anytime soon. And then Ladd McConkey. I think Ladd McConkey is a safe floor target for you. I don't think the ceiling is as high as it was last year because of all the competition, but he will get his targets pretty much every single game. And I think Jalen Ramsey, who has had a very good year this year, I think he is going to be shadowing Quentin Johnston, maybe Keenan Allen. I don't think they're going to line him up in the slot as much, which gives Ladd McConkey a little bit more room to work. And Ramsey better not line up against Gadsden in the slot. That would not be a good move because Gadsden can really hurt people in man-to-man coverage. But then for the Steelers, I think DK Metcalf is a really good start. I mean, he's a guy that's just getting 5 for 60 yards pretty much every single week, and he has touchdown upside. I think he's a good player. I wasn't big on him. He was one of the guys that I was fading this year, but Rodgers has proved to be a little bit better than I thought he was going to be. So anyways, Jaylen Warren, I think he's getting a ton of touches. None of the other backs have done much outside of Kenneth Gainwell, but he's kind of a rotational guy at this point. Jaylen Warren, I think, is the primary back in this offense. So
My
sticking with
boy
him, I think.
Johnson, where is he?
So I don't know, man. And with the touches, I thought this was a dream scenario for Caleb Johnson. I really thought this was a dream scenario because it's the same run scheme that he had at Iowa. And he was so good at Iowa, man. He was so good. And he just hasn't been that. So we have to wait and see. I don't think Jaylen Warren is a long-term solution for the Steelers. I think his durability is a big-time concern. So I do think Caleb Johnson will get his chance, but it's not going to be this year, I don't think. For the sits, Aaron Rodgers. I think his floor is really low, and I don't think his ceiling is super high because he's very conservative. He's a guy that's not going to put the ball in harm's way a lot. He's not going to throw a lot of interceptions. So I think Aaron Rodgers, because of that mentality, you've seen that with the Packers playoff runs at times where he's just not going the extra mile to make risky throws. He's playing very conservatively, and I think that's why he's not a great fantasy quarterback at this day and age. And then Calvin Austin, he's been very streaky. He was streaky last year. He's streaky this year. With the injuries that he's had this year, I don't know if I'm going to start him. I just don't like any other receivers outside of DK Metcalf. And then Roman Wilson, he had a big week 2 weeks ago and was his pretty much only game where he had multiple catches. And then last week he had targets and he fumbled and he lost the fumble. And I think that just puts the stamp that he's not going to be trusted. And I think they're going to give him the same treatment as Caleb Johnson. I think his snap percentage depletes greatly. I loved him in college at Michigan, but he just hasn't panned out. And I don't think he's going to since the fumble. I think that's a big time mistake for him. And for the sits, I liked Kamani Vidal, man. I really did, but he kind of flat out dumpster fired people last week. I can't trust him this week just because he's not a starting running back. I mean, those running backs will have a couple of big weeks and then die. And the Steelers have a good front where you're not going to run all over them. So I think Vidal is not a guy you want to start this week. And any other Chargers running back, stay away from them. Hassan Haskins, they have another guy that had multiple runs last week. Stay away from all of those guys. That's just not where you want to be in your running back spot.
Good stuff, man. I'm surprised they didn't have Edwards over there in LA. You know, I mean, he's got a little parity with what's going on there.
Oh, it's durability, man. It's durability. I don't honestly, I don't know if Gus Edwards, he's not on a team right now, right? I don't know if he could pass the physical, man. I think that's the problem because he was a big physical back, man. But you know, you remember that year, like with the Ravens, he had like 12 touchdowns or something a couple years ago. Yeah, the durability. I think he's done, man. I think it's durability. But here's another matchup that's super exciting. The Eagles going on the road to play the Packers at Lambeau Field. With that home field advantage, Lambeau has been rocking this year. Green Bay are minus 2.5 point favorites.
Last week it didn't turn out so well.
It did not turn out so well, and that was a big time upset versus the Panthers. But you are still a 5-2 football club, and the Eagles are another team that's been kind of hot flashing here in the pan over the past 2-3 weeks. Saquon's healthy. Hurts is looking better and better each week as a passer. A.J. Brown is getting some targets. He should be playing. I think he was announced healthy this week. Devonta Smith's, Dallas Goedert, they got a lot of weapons on the offensive side. They traded for Jalen Phillips, so they got another weapon on defense. So we'll see how it goes. How do you feel about this matchup? I like the Packers minus 2.5 here.
I like the Packers to win this game minus 2.5 as well. Let me tell you something. That embarrassment that happened last week in Lambeau, restricting possessions, Green Bay could not move the football last week against the Panthers defense that's stubborn. I think Micah Parsons is going to have himself a game against the Eagles. It's a familiar opponent for him. I think the Packers were embarrassed last week by that win against Carolina. Not that they're rotten, because Carolina's 5-3. They're or 5-3.
Five and
They're
four.
5-3 or 5-4. So it's not the worst football team. It's not like they lost to the Saints or something like that. But I think Matt LaFleur is going to have what he calls "my piss is hot." That's something that he said in a press conference last year about trying to get guys fired up. And there's some Packer fans that are really trying to call for maybe it's time to move on from him. And they're really irritated with Rich Bisaccia, and the special teams play has just been disastrous this season. But with that being said, this could be a potential difference between home field advantage or playing in the second seed or the third seed. This could be a wild card spot. You never know how this will be play out. I expect the Packers to be fired up. They're going to miss Tucker Kraft, but Luke Musgrave was drafted ahead of him, and I think that Musgrave has the receiving upside. He doesn't have the blocking upside that Kraft has. But I think the Packers get it together and they go out there, and I think we see a fun match with Josh. I mean, this is a Monday night dream match. We're going to see Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love. We got Christian Watson, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. There's loaded stars on defense on both sides of the football here. The under might really be the play, but I'm going to take the Packers to win the game, and I think they win it by a touchdown. I'm going to say Green Bay wins it 21-14.
All right, low scoring matchup, you think? And I tend to agree with that. I think the Eagles, they've struggled on offense all year long, and the Packers have struggled here and there as well. They've had games where they've been streaky on offense, but their weapons just aren't really producing all that well outside of Tucker Kraft, and Tucker Kraft's out for the year with the ACL tear. That's a huge loss. And that's a huge loss for me in fantasy because he was one of my favorite pickups for tight end in the middle rounds. I mean, I had like 12 shares of him. Well, that's done. That sucks really bad. But Jalen Hurts for the starts, I think Jalen Hurts gives you the rushing upside with the tush push, touchdown upside. You know, he can scramble for 30, 40 yards in a game. And he's been playing like a really good passer of the football. That was my biggest knock on him is, hey, he can't really throw the football consistently against teams. Well, this year he's been doing it pretty well. So I like Jalen Hurts. He's not an MVP candidate or anything, but he's been playing pretty good football. And then Saquon Barkley, I know he had a groin injury, but all reports are saying it's a minor groin injury, and he had pretty much the whole second half of that game and all of the bye week to rest. So I think Saquon Barkley comes back. He's going to have a big-time game. He had a big-time game last week. I think he runs the ball a lot this week. And then Dallas Goedert, man, I don't know what's going on with him, but he's just been very consistent this year. Touchdowns, they're giving him shovel passes. They're getting him involved. They're giving him rushing touchdowns. He's a pivotal part in this offense, especially in the red zone. And then A.J. Brown, I think. A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith, I like both of these guys. I like A.J. Brown just a little bit more because I like the talent more because he's just a freak. He's a freak. And I think the Packers are going to be a little bit more weary of the deep shot with Devonta Smith because that's such a big game plan for the Eagles. They like to run, play action, beat you with Devonta Smith. I don't think that's going to happen. I think you are going to play to that, and A.J. Brown's going to get a few possession catches for big-time yards. And the only guy I like for the Packers, man, is Josh Jacobs. He's been a stud. He's going to get you multiple touchdowns a lot of the time. I think he's a 15-point guy pretty much every single week. 60, 70 yards and a touchdown's like his floor, which is insane to say. He's just super consistent because he's going to get you the volume every single week. The Packers will run him and give him 250 carries every single year. And then for the sits, Jordan Love, man, he has played good at times, and he's played really bad at other times. He played really bad versus the Panthers last week. Really bad. And whenever quarterbacks play bad like that, there's usually a trend of them continuing to play bad, at least for a couple of weeks, because you just have to get it back on track. Jordan Love, I've never been super in love with as a quarterback, and I'm staying away from him for now. If he can prove me wrong versus the Eagles, then he's earned a spot on my start list for a few weeks. But none of the wide receivers I'm in love with. I think Dobbs is like their best receiver in terms of a fantasy upside right now, but he's still super inconsistent because he doesn't get the targets that much. Matthew Golden, I'm not going to say he's a bust, but he has not been producing.
I'm going to cut you off. Nobody needs to say that a player is a bust in year one, ever. Now, if you're talking fantasy bust, that's different. But as far as an NFL player, a bust, he has to be rotten to the core. I've got to say that, but I don't care what the player is. I don't care who it is. In year one, I'm going to push back on that and say it's blasphemy.
Oh,
Just saying.
I don't think he's a bust. I don't think he's a bust just yet. That's what I said. I
Okay.
don't think he's a
Okay.
bust right now. I don't think you can call him a bust yet, but
Anybody.
definitely he needs to produce at least next year at some point. In this offense, I just don't know why y'all drafted a receiver in the first round. That's not what y'all do. And it's because y'all's offense don't prioritize one receiver. It's just not what y'all do. Or Dobbs, Wicks, Golden, whether it
I think
be
that Dobbs is gone at the end of the year.
and if so, I mean, I think that's a big loss. I mean, I don't know how much Dobbs would want in terms of payment per season, but I feel like he's a pivotal part of y'all's offense. He just doesn't get consistent targets, right?
Yeah.
But with Dobbs, I think he's super inconsistent because of the offense. Same thing with Golden. Golden's being utilized, I don't think, to his strengths. I like him as more of a jump ball receiver and not a deep threat. I like him as more of you utilize him like a T. Higgins instead of a Devonta Smith. But they're being utilized. They're utilizing him more of like a Devonta Smith deep threat, and I just don't think his play speed is that fast compared to what his 40 time was. That's just what I saw on film. And then Luke Musgrave he did okay when Tucker Kraft left the game. He did okay, but I don't know if he gives you the upside. When he was the primary option, he was very underwhelming. So we'll see what he does. Right now, I'm staying away from him. I don't think the upside's there just yet. And poor Jahan Dotson, I don't know why I keep putting him on here. Nobody's starting him anyways. But if you do start Jahan Dotson, I think he had 40 yards and a touchdown last week. If that's enough for you to push him into the conversation of starting, don't. He is not a consistent player, and I would start a plethora. I would start Xavier Legette over Jahan Dotson. I would start Keenan Allen definitely over Jahan Dotson. There's a lot of players. I'd start Michael Wilson over Jahan Dotson. And I think
Uh-oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nope, you froze up. You froze up, but that was the Monday night game that's going on. I'm gonna give you a second to log back in here. But man, what an incredible week of football we got going on. This, lots of divisional matchups. We went over our college football games. I think, Bobby's kind of flashed out there. He'll be back in a second. But there's something that I want to show you guys as soon as he logs back in. But we had some great start sits for this week. We've got lots of great matchups. We're coming down, like I said, to nearing its all conference play in college football as it has been for the last month and a half. We got some great SEC matchups. We got some teams that are ready to be headed to Georgia for Atlanta for the SEC championship. Man, he really lagged out. And it's just going to be good stuff. We had 20 viewers in here. I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in. But hang tight for 1 second because I do got something I want to show you guys. Make sure that you sign up for the Winnable. I had the banner going for the whole show, trying to keep you guys abreast of what's going on with the scores. We've had a double header in college football tonight. And we've obviously got our Thursday night football game, which has been going. It's been kind of a slugfest in the first half. Has been nothing elite from what I can see on the score ticker. Obviously, I'm paying attention to what's going on with you guys here. Pardon me. But again, I want to give a shout out to you guys, give you guys a round of applause for tuning in. And if you guys got any feedback, like we're just not getting a whole lot of chatters in here, ask these questions. I've only had the one comment today about Tucker Kraft. And you guys, let us know anytime in the middle of the show. Usually our boy Juan shows up and asks these fantasy football questions about should I sit or should I start this player? Should I trade this player? What kind of options do I have here? I'm seeing Bobby's texting me. His internet went out. All right. So with that being said, since his internet went out, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys something right now. And let's see if I know how to do this here. So I want to present. Let's see here. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. All right. I got 19 people looking at me like I don't know what I'm doing here. So I'm going to share screen. All right. So just so you guys can see, and I don't know if you can see this at home. Okay, I can see it here. So I'm going to remove have you guys deal with this. Well, either way, for some reason it's showing me. Okay, there we go. So since I was presenting, pardon my technical errors there, but that's the one thing that I do is I love to sports bet. I love to put picks up. I'll have a college basketball blog up starting next week. Got a few, want to see some teams play a little bit before I start throwing numbers out there. And I always have the NFL stuff. Most of my NFL stuff is free. Make sure you subscribe to this channel on my YouTube so you can watch my daily song of the day that goes along. Leave comments, likes, man. I really need you guys to subscribe. That's an important thing for me to grow this. This is my business. This is my second job. This is stuff that I love to do. I love to be able to hang with you guys. I love to be able to just go ahead and this thing is freezing up as well. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the weekend. Thanks for tuning in on this Thursday. Go enjoy the second half of the football games. Make yourself some money. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you follow me on X at Justin Paul Sport, no S. And with that being said, roll tide, y'all. Have a great week.